Next up is Measures L&M, and that's Superintendent Tennenbaum and Mark Hinkle. Superintendent Tennenbaum will go first for the introduction.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor and a privilege to be here before you. Thank you, Leslie, for the opportunity. Extremely proud to serve our community. I've been serving the community since 1998 at the high school district, and really just extremely excited about our future, but also completely aware of the problems at hand. And I share that because there are three things that I wanted to really impart upon you regarding L&M. One is protecting high-quality education. I'm extremely proud of our students and our staff. Each and every year they rise to the occasion. But for 128 years, we've been a beacon of hope. We've been a beacon of hope because public education is that foundation for a strong workforce and a great local community.
Thank you. And Mark Hinkle, 30 seconds for you.
Hi, I'm president of the Silicon Valley Taxpayers Association, and I wrote the arguments against Measure L and M. Measure M says workforce readiness. In 2016, the district got a $60 million bond measure for high school attendance. What have they done with it? 55% of the students are behind grade level in English, and over 81% are behind grade level in math. That is a failed school district.
The questions will begin with Superintendent Tennenbaum. Residents are currently paying for 2 high school bonds. How do you justify another 2 bond measures when we just approved a bond in 2016?
Yeah, and I'm very grateful and appreciative of our residents for supporting Measure G and U. The high school district and the high school, as we mentioned, has been here for 128 years. There were many needs, whether it be modernization or upgrading for our current students. The justification is simple to me. Our students and our youth deserve every opportunity to succeed. We need a strong local workforce. We need jobs. We need to ensure a positive future, not only for them, but for our community. And when I look at the opportunity for another bond on the ballot, it is not something that the district wishes or desires to do. But the state of California is not going to completely fund a second high school. So we need a local contribution to actually tap into state matching funds. We need our developers to pay their fair share. And with that, we can work together to continue to provide a high-quality education in a safe environment for all of our students.
Thank you. Mark Hinkle, Hollister High classes have about 35 students, and according to Superintendent Tennenbaum, the school population is the 5th largest in the state. How can the community allow that to continue?
You know, there have been several studies done that indicate class size has an impact in the early grades, but not in the later grades. So when I went to college at San Jose State, sometimes some of the classes were 200 students. Nobody complained about that. It's a simple matter of economics. Of course, the more teachers you have, the more students you're going to have to teach. And one thing that we should do to mitigate the growth in the student population, which, by the way, there are several ways that the California measures student population. ADA is more than 200 less than what is mentioned in the resolution. But the deal is that if you allow funding to follow the students so that students can go to parochial schools, charter schools, alternative education, homeschooling, that will have a dramatic decrease in the student population.
Thank you.
And the situation is solved.
Thank you. Superintendent Tennenbaum, could you explain why did you split the bond into 2 bond measures, and what happens if only one were to pass?
It's an excellent question, Leslie. When we took a look at the assessed valuation in the county, we've done studies for the last 3 years trying to price the bond program as economically as possible. So working with our fiduciary advisory, looking at all of the available statistics, we could not have one bond the size we needed to actually build the second high school. So what we did was we polled. We had informal polling and we had formal polling. And we split the bond in two with two companion bond measures tied together at 70 million, which would create a better economical situation for our taxpayers. So to come back to the question, the tax rate constraints within the county did not allow us to put the large enough bond to actually build a school. It didn't allow us to tap into the state matching funds necessary to complete a school. So we split it in two at 70 million to price it as economically as possible. If only one bond passes, then we're going to be building less of a school.
Thank you. Thank you. Mark Hinkle, would you like to respond to Superintendent Tennenbaum's answer, and does that reasoning make sense to you?
Yeah, I'd like to point out, and this is something that routinely bond measures, when they're put on the ballot, the stated measure says $70 million for each. That's a big fat lie. Because like a home mortgage, it's not just $500,000 for a house, it's $500,000 plus 30 to 40 years of interest. Every bond measure that goes on the ballot has 30 to 40 years, so your grandchildren are going to be paying for that tax. The bond measure also indicates that some of the money will be spent on technology. How many people here have bought a PC and paid for it with a 30-year loan? Can I see a show of hands? None, right, because that's stupid. And yet that's exactly what the school district is doing when they buy technology with a 30-year loan. Say no to Measure L&M.
Thank you.
Leslie, can I respond to a few of those facts?
In your closing comments, you'll have the opportunity. Take note and use your closing comments. Mark Hinkle, please evaluate the value of the Bond Oversight Committee and how well the high school oversight committees have served the community so far.
Bond oversight committees, frankly, are a joke. The reason they're a joke is who gets to choose who gets to serve on the Bond Oversight Committee? Is it the voters or is it the district representatives? It's the district representatives. And are they going to choose somebody who is truly critical of the expenses? No, they're not. They're going to rubber stamp. Every bond measure oversight committee member that I've talked to says it's a rubber stamp operation. It is not true oversight, pure and simple.
And Superintendent Tennenbaum, you would have the opportunity, if you want to answer that and save this question for last, you can. Community question, explain the oversight committee and the limits of its authority to the school building process and how well you feel it served the community.
Well, I would just have to contradict my colleague here a little bit. I think that the Citizens Oversight Committee for San Benito High School District did a phenomenal job. They are working within the constraints of Measure G and Measure U, which have a clear project list, so they have to stay within those boundaries. They have to ensure that every project, whether it be a large capital project or multiple capital projects, that we're following the guidelines of Prop 39, that we're ensuring that the money is spent on that particular project or project palette. There is a annual report that is shared with the board, and there is critical oversight for those particular reports. I can think of no better thing than the Oversight Committee and the work that they've done for the high school district.
Thank you. And we now have closing comments. Mark Hinkle, you would go first.
All right, bond measures, of course, are a tax increase. That means money that comes out of your pocketbook, your purse, and goes into the hands of a government organization that we've just demonstrated is a failing school district. The title of Measure M says Workforce Readiness. Tell me, the students coming out of the high school, are they ready for the workforce when 55% of them are behind grade level in English and 81% are behind grade level in math? In Silicon Valley, that is a recipe for failure, not success. If you look at the measures that I have submitted on the ballot, so when you get your ballot, take a look at those. and you'll see that there's a clear message. They are wasting your money, and they're providing poor education, and they're enriching the teachers for doing a bad job. This is a recipe for failure, top to bottom.
Thank you. Superintendent Tennenbaum, 30 seconds.
So I want to thank the community for your support. I'm very grateful and appreciative. Thank you again, Leslie, for the opportunity today. We have a defining moment. And that defining moment really is, what do you want for your youth? My colleague here talks about a failing school district. I completely don't agree with him. We had a 94% graduation rate last year, 96% with kids in career technical education. And in our AVID program, we had 99% graduation with 100% of them applying to college. That is something to be proud of. I can think of no better investment in this community than our kids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.